Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome back to another Elliott Wave analysis. In today's video, we're going to be discussing XRP and talk about anything that might have changed over the course of the week, and maybe even talk about revising some targets. Just very quickly, if you haven't already, please make sure to hit the like button and also subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Your support really does help. Now, starting from a top-down analysis, I think we are still well on our way for the final macro targets to the upside for a possible macro fifth wave. We have two ways or scenarios that can conclude this bull market that we also briefly discussed in the last video, and I'm going to be explaining again in detail on how we can achieve those targets, again, maybe possibly even revising them. Because we have two remaining scenarios, it's also the reason why I still hold 50% of my XRP holdings. If you haven't been following me on social media, I've been accumulating XRP for over 2,100 days or so, and I've sold half of my holdings around $3. I hold the remaining 50% because I haven't found any real red flags within the macro wave counts. So that's the reason why I still hold 50% of my holdings, because there's just really no bearish outcome out of this, especially now that we broke all-time highs on most of the charts. So what we have here is that we've discussed this for quite extensively. We had this possible triangle here for this macro wave 4. It's been accumulating for a long time. We've been creating higher lows despite all of the hardships that XRP as a company went through. And this major breakout alone confirmed everything. And I think that we are still well within our way to the upside, like I mentioned. But right now, this first scenario that you're seeing is more of the ambitious target. It is also very balanced in my opinion, because it does take into account for a possible bear market correction here, or at least some kind of larger pullback that we are still anticipating for Bitcoin. So as you can see here, we do have a pretty clear 5-wave move that is now looking like it's starting to conclude. I would say that the 5th wave right now is actually in, or possibly very close to being in. So this is why we have to also be very careful. I think the next strategy for at least this scenario is that we are also looking for a possible 3-wave correction for this wave 2 that can lead us down all the way, 60 to 70% depending on how far of a correction that the markets want. So if that's the case, this wave 1-2 should be coming very soon into play, as we do have a pretty clear 5-wave move to the upside. And it's very clear that this 5th wave is in play just due to the fact that this wave 3 was heavily extended. And if we really take the targets in terms of this 5th wave, we can actually measure this based on Fibonacci extension targets. And if we take it from the pivot of, or the origin of wave 1, from the pivot of wave 1, and then all the way from this wave 4, you can see we hit that 100% target, where this wave 1 is now equal to this wave 5 as well. So we hit that pretty much on target. So there is a pretty good contender that this wave 1 is in. But again, markets are pretty mental these days, so it can go up a little bit further, possibly into that 161.8% zone. That is around the $4 targets. Actually, that's kind of my hope and ambition target. But again, we don't have to. We do have a pretty good contender that this 5th wave is also in, and that's why we're going to be talking about how we can revise these targets. So for this scenario, like I said, it is ambitious, but again, at the same time, like I said, it is still a balanced approach, because I am actually calling for a pullback. So if this pullback were to happen now, we can still come down and retest the sub $1 regions, and I think that those levels are still a pretty good level of opportunity if we get a 3-way pullback of some sort, or some kind of consolidation that may be occurring in the future. We just simply do not know what kind of correction is going to be happening. So I think that, yeah, this is going to be the case. And after that wave 3, a 3-way pullback we get, this is going to be the most powerful wave, which is the wave 3. Again, this is just the minor wave that's leading us into a wave 1 of a possible larger expansion phase for this wave 5 of the higher degree. And this also can make sense. It is quite ambitious. It's also taking into account for the fundamentals based on a Trump administration. Also, the future of XRP does look pretty bright. We took that risk over here, especially during a turbulent time when the SEC case was at the hottest. So I think that this is going to be the first case, at least the highest possible scenario, if we're going to be getting a pullback now. So if that's the idea for this idea, that we're going to be getting a pullback, what about a way that we can actually go up faster, reaching possible higher targets, but maybe even ending the bull market? That would be a little bit scary, but at the same time, it is going to help the shorter time frame traders. So what we have to do is remove this idea, and then since a wave 5 is comprised of 5 waves in itself, we can alternatively say that if the markets are going to, work again with the Elliott Wave Theory, wave fives can extend quite a bit in the commodity markets, and I would say that's also applied for the crypto markets. We can also say that this is the 5-wave move in itself that could conclude this bear market or the bull market entirely. That's kind of what we've seen characteristically since the past bull markets back in 2018 and these previous bear markets. We usually just go mental for XRP. So this idea also comes into play, where now we may be just working in a wave 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of a smaller, minor degree rather, where the targets are not as ambitious. However, we still do have a pretty good handsome reward in terms of the profits for this final fifth wave to the upside. That will lead us into possibly the $6, $7, $8, $9, $10 region, just really depends. But I do have this 100% Fibonacci level just based on the wave 1 equality length. This wave 5 should be equal to the length of wave 1. And I think that this level is going to be a very good contender for a possible profit taking if we move it faster. So I would say that if we do break the 100% level, even the 161% level, I think there's going to be a pretty good darn chance that we're going to go up to the $7 to $10 regions. And again, if you're comparing it to the previous scenario where we're going for a pullback pretty soon or even now, then the wave 3 that we're anticipating for even possibly up to the $20 to the $40 regions, that is now out of the picture. But again, this does fit into kind of the storytelling of what XRP has done in the past. In fact, I think this may be even the higher probable scenario going forward, just due to the fact that how XRP has behaved in the past. I think a lot of people will just go mental on these wave 5s, and then this is going to be the conclusion of the bull market, and then we get a complacency phase where we get one strong bounce, and then another larger move to the downside is in play. So I would say that this idea is possibly even more rational of an approach. This level also is very well aligned with even what could be a post-triangle thrust measurement target, meaning that we take the widest part of the triangle and we take it from the breakout point of this triangle in itself, and that usually will be kind of at least the minimum target level in terms of where we can see for the macro targets, especially if we're using this level over here. The target is going to be pretty much equal to around the $6 to the $10 regions, and at that point, I mean, how much are you going to be wanting out of XRP at that point? You know, a $7 to $10 region, just anticipating for $40 or $50, that is pretty high in terms of anticipation. So you definitely want to be taking profits. Even now, I mean, it depends on where you're positioned. You know, like I said, I have been positioned for quite some time. I've been accumulating for over 2,000 days, and that is where I applied my risk. And if you're applying your risk over here, your strategy is going to be far different. So you might even be anticipating this scenario more than the actual pullback scenario of that 1-2, even though that may be even more bullish. So right now, that's how I'm currently seeing the macro structure. And then if we zoom in and we look at the shorter time frames, it does start to show, again, a little bit more clues on why this fifth wave, either it might be completing very soon. Again, this is the intermediate degree. That means that this is going to be concluding quite soon, meaning that if we break these major Fibonacci levels based on this current pullback, then this red flag zone, if we go surpass that, then there's a pretty good chance that we're going to be going for a larger wave 1-2 of some sort. So the risk is all in terms of how the market participant is positioned within the markets. So that's how you should also be applying it. I'm just giving you guys the outcomes of what these wave counts could be giving us. So like I said, we do have a pretty clear 5-way move up here as well. I did the internal counts here. This does seem like a completed move here in itself. We do have an observation of a pretty rare alternation pattern here, where this triangle is taking in place of a sharp correction against this sideways 1-2 over here. The contracting triangle is the only one that can take place of a sharp correction in terms of the alternation, meaning that as long as it's not an extreme price wave for a wave 4, then this triangle, not a flat, but a triangle, can take place of a possible sharp correction against a wave 2. So yeah, this wave 5 could be in, or we could be working for one more move as a possible fifth wave here around the $4 region and then get that 1-2 pullback. But again, that second scenario, what about that second scenario where we just go up to that $10 region now? Well, now we have to change this degree structure, like I said, into a minor degree. And then we work for what could be the possible 5-wave move of the intermediate degree to be coming into play. That gives us a little bit more room in terms of where the Fibonacci support levels are going to be. We have a 1-2 possibly complete here, in my opinion. We don't know, but we could count a 3-wave structure here as well, where we have an A, B for a triangle, and then a C to the downside. This might also be the conclusive way of this wave count in terms of how this 5th wave could be also creating. So I think this scenario, like I said, is possibly the more rational approach, even though it is highly ambitious in itself and also very bullish in the short term. It won't go as high as that $40 or $20 target, but still enough for who may be positioned within these levels. And definitely these people over here will be rewarded the most, including me. So that's why we have to take the most risk when people are the most fearful and doubtful. You don't want to be taking positions. Well, you can in wave 4s, but you definitely don't want to be taking positions, high positions and heavy positions, that is, in these regions over here, even though it may be extremely bullish, right? Because we do have that possibility of a 1-2 pullback. The people that are positioned over here are still going to be prepared for that larger 1-2 pullback if it were to happen. But again, I think this idea right now may be the higher probability scenario, just due to the fact that markets still want to be going a little bit higher with BTC in the current time frame. I think on the daily and the 4-hour time frame, BTC still wants to go for that 5th wave to the upside, and that's where we observe most of the alt seasons happening. So this also ties into that. This also helps mitigate the overly biased, ambitious targets of the $40 targets, even though we may be going for a larger pullback for that scenario. But that will help conclude a possible 5th wave and give us a pretty darn good look for how this 5th wave can conclude. So hopefully that was helpful, ladies and gentlemen. We did a top-down analysis. We went over both of the scenarios on the macro. We also went over both of the scenarios here. Again, going back to that first scenario, this is where we're going to be getting that larger pullback, and we're going to be working for a 1-2. Then we have also the possibility of that move to the upside just now as a faster route, which seems to be a little bit more likely at this point, where now we're just working for a 1-2 intermediate degree, and 3-4 is now on the way to the upside. So hopefully that's helpful, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much. Again, please make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We also offer a Discord membership where I update a lot of altcoins, Bitcoin on the spot, and also we also offer a Patreon membership, which I do 2 updates a week, video updates a week. So there's a lot of options for gaining access to how I am seeing the markets. Thank you very much. I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a fantastic rest of the week. Have goodbye.